Hey guys, I'm Jeffrey and this is AutoAlchemy, the intersection between typology and self-growth. And today I'm extremely irritated because I already tried making this video and then I realized I wasn't recording my screen, so we're just gonna jump right into it. No preamble. Today we're going to be looking at the Multiple Intelligences test on the IDR Labs website. So this concept of multiple intelligences was created by a developmental psychologist by the name of Howard Gardner. You're probably somewhat familiar with this concept. I think that in some ways it's a controversial concept because people like to nitpick and bicker about the specific definition of what intelligence means. I say screw that. We're just thinking about it in terms of, at least for the sake of this video, various aptitudes. And I think it's pretty much uncontroversial and incontrovertible that people have various skill sets. Some people are good at X, some people are good at Y, and we can regard these as two equally valid domains. Anyway, let's take a look at the test. All right, I enjoy sequential puzzles like Rubik's Cubes or Sudokus. Not really. I definitely borrowed a Rubik's Cube from a friend of mine at one point in the past and definitely enjoyed playing with it and trying to figure it out, but it's not like it's something that I'm actively seeking out. I think it's a little too linear. I am definitely more divergent, and so I guess I would put myself middle of the road here because I don't dislike it. I mean, how could you dislike a good puzzle? I'm good at detecting dishonesty in others. I think the answer is yes, but it's also very easy for me to second guess myself. I think that's because this interpersonal intelligence, which I'm assuming this question is trying to get at, is something that I feel a little shaky about. It's something that I value. It's something that I think is important for any human being trying to make their way through the world and carve out a space for him or herself. But it's something where I'm a little shaky. And so as a result, even though I have these instinctual, intuitive gut level reactions, I doubt myself, and usually I'm like, wow, why did I doubt myself? I'm gonna say maybe slightly disagree on this one. I like sewing, carving, model building. Absolutely not. I am so bad at anything requiring manual dexterity. I spend a lot of time thinking about the emotions of others. Well, in the objective personality system, I am a double decider, as are all ENTPs, and I have double activated FE. So I'm definitely tracking the emotions of others more than some other ENTPs might, and definitely more than your average INTP would. But do I think about it a lot? Am I stuck processing the emotions? I wouldn't say so, but I try to be aware, and I have more of an avoidance strategy. So I don't want to step on any landmines, and so that's why I'm tracking. But I'm not going to go out of my way to push somebody into a new emotional state. That's how I think about it. So I'm just going to say marginally agree. I'm good at mediating disputes or conflicts between individuals. I'm going to say I agree to this degree. Basically, I do think that I'm pretty good at not actually getting embroiled within a conflict. I'm pretty good at taking a bird's eye view perspective on things like that and just not getting entangled. So I would say that in a conflict, I try to be on the side of both parties and the side of what's true and what's the optimal arrangement for an efficient relationship to work out between these people. Man, don't I sound like such a romantic? I'm interested in writing poetry, quotes, stories, or journals. So in addition to dabbling in poetry and enjoying said dabbling, I also think of myself as a writer in general. I write stories. I've written a novel, and I'm not writing anything right now, but it's something that I'm good at. It's something that I like to do. It's something that I will, without a doubt, continually revisit over the course of my life. Spend a lot of time analyzing my own emotions and reactions. This one's kind of complicated. I guess I would say I spend a little bit of time. I'm going to marginally agree. Now let me explain. When I was younger, I definitely didn't do this. I thought of emotions as being endlessly mysterious, essentially beyond analyzing. The metaphor that I like to use is that I was someone who was in a little cabin working on this puzzle. And this puzzle is some sort of NT theory, some sort of understanding that I'm trying to map out, and every so often, a storm would rage outside, and that storm would rattle the cabin. It would send the puzzle pieces to the floor and just completely ruin this intellectual, fun game that I was trying to be involved in. That's how I thought about my emotions. They were like a storm. They weren't part of me. They were some sort of phenomenon of nature that existed outside of me and could disrupt the things that I really liked doing. So I didn't think they could be analyzed, because you can't really analyze a storm. You can't really perfectly predict a storm. There's this degree of chaotic randomness to it. But as I've gotten older, especially reading through Jung's work, I've learned that your emotions can actually say something about your priorities, your values, your boundaries. You can learn more about your personal history. What are your default programs? Where are you emotionally stuck? So I try to prioritize it now. Better at remembering faces than names. Yes, absolutely. I keep going over deep questions about life and existence that seem foolish to others. I want to say that I agree, not completely, but I do agree. I think that I can get stuck thinking about these big questions, and then I forget to live my life, and then other people are building a life for themselves, and they're like, what is that dude doing? I can learn better if things are accompanied by charts, diagrams, or technical illustrations. Maybe slightly. I would rather just read something that is really well written verbally and very clear and very accurate. I think that is usually sufficient for me. I like to think in terms of language, but hey, a visual can't really hurt, so yeah, why not? I like dancing, sports, or working out. I don't really like working out. I'm going to say slightly agree, because I like dancing more than you would think. But if you do want to see me doing a little bit of dancing, why not check out my ESFP rap? I really work it in that one. All right, so the day is dying, and I'm here with my multiple intelligences results. So the top area of intelligence for me is existential intelligence. What does that mean? Well, they call it cosmic smarts. To me, this sounds a little bit like a pat on the back. This sounds like how the Myers-Briggs community is full of NI DOMs, because NI is such a cosmically, mystically oriented function that gives you this great depth of psychic insight. So that's good. That's flattery right there. The ability to use metacognition and seeking to know more about life's purpose or the unknown. Interested in intellectual debates and big questions, often found in philosophers, writers, spiritual leaders, public speakers, meditation instructors, and the like. I wish I was a little more capable of doing the public speaking thing. I definitely get tongue-tied a lot. I edit it out of my videos, but it's happening behind the scenes. But yeah, I agree with all this. And then let's see, linguistic intelligence is number 2, followed by musical, and then interpersonal. I think those would definitely be my top intelligences. I'm a little surprised that the logical intelligence is as low as it is. But I don't like that it's kind of clustered with the mathematical intelligence. I think that there's a fine distinction to make there, but maybe that's just my ego getting in the way of me thinking clearly about it. So, linguistics, word smarts, competence with spoken and written language. As I said, I'm a writer. I can express ideas pretty well. I would rather script my YouTube videos, because I do think that I'm a little bit better at articulating myself in that way and then delivering the final product, but I digress. Once again, writers, public speakers, academic problem solving, abstract reasoning. So there's a level of logical thinking that comes into play with this particular intelligence. Musical, distinguish and appreciate the different elements of music, yes. Keen listeners, yes. It reminds me of how sometimes I'll be listening to a song and I'll have to point out that the time signature got really weird in this section of the song, or this particular section used this really cool modal idea, and it's almost like I become a little Adam Neely, and who wouldn't want to be a little Adam Neely? May learn better through rhymes. Huh. And then just for fun, let's look at the one that I was lowest in. Let's look at the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The ability to use the body to communicate, solve challenges and problems, and process information through movements, gestures, and facial expressions. Wow, look at how I'm solving these problems. I don't even believe that's real. I read that and that doesn't seem like a legitimate thing to me. How can you solve problems through movements, gestures, and facial expressions unless you're freaking Tony Hawk? That's the only kind of thing I can think of. Is that all they mean? All right, so that's it. As far as I can tell, I am in a position in life where I'm trying to use the intelligences that I excel at, and I am outsourcing the ones that I'm not so good at to people who are more gifted in those areas. I think that's the way that it has to be. I mean, there's something to be said for growing into your areas of weakness, but there's also something to be said for blossoming with the gifts that you have. That's a tension that I've really been thinking about lately. I guess I should process that in another video, and I hope you guys will be there to check that video out. But in the meantime, let me know if you took the test. Let me know what your results were. I'll see you next time. Bye.